will say this is important, this is critical. The post that you shared, I read it, and it was just like, oh my God, we knew something like this was coming, but I didn't think it was going to happen so quickly. Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we are talking about an important topic. This is something I told everybody last week. They got to tune in to hear, and that's about e-commerce and how e-commerce is changing in a huge way. From Amazon Direct to Factory Direct. Yep, things are changing where factories are selling on Amazon directly, and it's going to shake up the industry. We're going to talk about how the leaked Factory Direct information is just the tip of the iceberg, and how this will affect not only Amazon, but all of your other marketplaces like Walmart, TikTok, and more. So welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. If you didn't hear the big news last week, e-commerce is changing in a big way from Amazon Direct to Factory Direct. Yes, all of your white labeled products from the factories you source from your factory could be, probably will be, going direct. Our guest is the founder of the Product Development Incubator and the Product Development China Trip. He's been selling to retailers since 2001, on Amazon since 2005. His products have been sold in big box stores, independent retailers, and on Amazon 3P and 1P. His products have been featured in every major morning TV show and were in gift bags at the Oscars. His students have products in retailers all over the globe and have been featured on Shark Tank and have won prestigious design awards, including Time Magazine's Best New Innovation of the Year. And I'm talking about our returning guest, Stephen Selikoff. But before we get to Stephen, we have a shout out. And where is that? I think I'm doing that live, right, Kels? And it's there, so I guess I am doing it live. All right, everybody. Hey, Amazon sellers ever faced with account suspensions, ASIN hiccups, or IP headaches? Introducing Seller Basics, your Amazon accounts guardian, which is $19 a month. It's $99 a month, but with the code NORM, you'll only be paying $89 a month. Seller Basics offers a dedicated team to shield your business from these challenges. Plus, this membership offers free legal consultations from seasoned e-commerce attorneys. And guess what? There's no long-term contracts, and you can cancel with just a month's notice. You can view Seller Basics as your Amazon account's health plan, and you can check them out at sellerbasics.com. All right, ready for the disclaimer? Seller Basics is not an insurer or law firm. Consultations come from independent firms. Results can vary, and membership is needed before events leading to claims. And the last one, terms apply. All right, let's bring on Stephen. Hello, sir.
Hello, Norm. Great to see you again. I am so jealous of your trip. You're going to use thousands of photos, and it's still not going to do it justice. That's one of the most beautiful train rides in the world.
I wish you could have been there. You'll be on our next one.
There we go. If you could drag me away from manufacturers or trade,
we will. You got to do that once in a while. So, Stephen, I'm not kidding. Like sometimes, people will say this is important, this is critical. The post that you shared, I read it, and it was just like, oh my God, we knew something like this was coming, but I didn't think it was going to happen so quickly. So I can't wait to dig into this and just kind of go over like the starting point. The post itself. Basically, we're talking about Amazon or some of these other marketplaces recruiting Chinese factories direct, right?
Correct.
Why is this even important?
Well, you have to take a look at it from the shopper side, the consumer side. One of the things that Amazon did, which they don't get enough credit for, but you and I remember back when it started, people thought it was crazy to put in a credit card and you'll actually get something. Like, how untrustworthy is that? Put a credit card out to strangers on the internet. But Amazon built up that confidence. And in doing so, they became the place that everyone would go to buy their products. And, during COVID, they lost some market share or anything else. But for an entire generation or 2 generations, Amazon's the place to shop. The thing that hit them most was when they would lose customers, because the cost of bringing those customers back was tremendous. In 2015, we saw that with Wish. That was really not that great. But what Amazon did to respond was they removed the prohibition against Chinese nationals selling on Amazon. And that's when the floodgates opened. Suddenly everyone said, wow, now there's, we can go out. The Chinese nationals are saying, great, we can go out there and sell. They have 10,000 person meetings here teaching people to sell on Amazon. That was big. And people really didn't recognize at the time how big that was. Now there are other platforms to choose, not just other sellers. And those platforms will change that shopper behavior so that people will be looking at Amazon, hopefully first, and thinking, let me look and see if I can find something. But they also now will have other options and big options. And new generation is not married to Amazon like we were when it first started. So Amazon they're very much aware. People are going to Temu, they're going to Shein. And Amazon responded with some encouragement from, well, I'm in China right now, so I'll say from this side of the water, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And they have now responded and done the same thing that Temu and Shein has done, which is selling directly from the factory. So the same factories that are selling products on global sources and Alibaba are now going to be selling those products directly to Western consumers at the prices that you're already paying or should be paying. So sometimes it's even less than what people are sourcing it for. And there's a lot of story behind it, but the basic big thing to be aware of is your customer now has options beyond just looking at other sellers. They're now going to be looking at other platforms. That's a seismic shift.
And I remember back in 2015, the sky was falling. Chinese sellers are coming. We'll never be able to compete. We're dead. Heard that all the time, all over the place, right up to just recently. We can't compete with Chinese sellers. I have always went out there and said, well, you've got brand. If you build brand, you build perception, you can compete. But for those lower, so mid to lower tier brands, it's going to be hard to compete. Hey, look at you're glowing, and then you've got this really cool. This is your brand, isn't it?
If I can get this light fixed a little bit better. The light's going in and out. I don't know what it is. So now I'm glowing again. And there's a term glow up, but I'm not sure what that means. Hopefully it's an okay thing and I'm glowing up. If it's not an okay thing, I'm sorry. It's not my generation, not my terminology.
And the good thing about this podcast is we're from the same generation, I think. So this is kind of cool. We can talk, we understand, we know what the Brady Bunch is, but but looking back, people were deathly afraid that when it was announced that the Chinese were coming on, and then it was like a happy dance when 65,000 were kicked off. But this is something we got to compete with, and it's gonna be a crazy mind shift to be able to, first of all, prepare. And we'll talk about that later, because if you don't prepare right now, you're going to be behind the pack. everybody else will be moving forward and you'll be left behind. And I think that's going to happen way sooner than later. But also, something I want to ask, something that Temu offers and something that these other platforms offer is fairly quick delivery. Are they going to be shipping from China, do you think, or sending the product over to U.S. fulfillment centers and then shipping out from there?
Well, I think we already see that. Temu, Shein, there goes the light again. They are definitely offering the options or have the logistics where things are showing up so quickly that there's no way they're coming in from China. They're coming in from U.S. distribution centers. And I was told by one of the executives at Amazon specifically that talked about the new program, and his comments were eventually they will be shipped within the United States. Now, ultimately they will be shipped from the United States. Now, this is someone who's Chinese choosing English words to talk to me. And that word ultimately is a big question mark. Does that mean that if you Norm's factory in China, you're suddenly Chinese, you have a factory, and you've got a really successful product, does that mean that the product is going to be stored in the United States and shipped within the United States? Or, hey, congratulations, you have a successful product, your whole company, we're going to have all of your stuff stored in the United States and shipped from the United States? Or does ultimately mean the program is going to eventually ship from the United States? But Amazon, in fact, in the early years, Bezos used to say, we're not a retail company, we're a logistics company. Amazon understands logistics. And that's an advantage they have over Shein, over Temu, over others we'll talk about in a few minutes. So there's no reason for them not to be using that advantage they have. And in the leaked article, it talked about the drop shipping and that timing. That's not accurate.
So let's talk about those platforms. There's a number of them that we have to look at. What are some of them that you're seeing that will be doing this shift within the next 12 to 18 months?
There's a bunch. All right, we already are aware of Amazon and what Amazon is doing. Their Amazon discount direct from factory. So that one we know about. And of course, there's Amazon.com. As you know, 60% of the sellers are from China. Walmart.com. Walmart is recruiting directly from factories, saying sell on our platform. I was at a presentation. I watched Iris Yang do her presentation about, she's the head of Walmart China, do the presentation about selling directly on their platform. We're going to help you do it. All these other things, because they want factories to come sell directly. Why not? It offers their customers the lowest price. By the way, when I mentioned I spoke to someone from Amazon, I first spoke to a couple of people who came in, one from New York and one from Sydney, who came into China to meet with factories directly. And that was back in February, and I posted about that in my group. So later when we talk about what you can do, there are strategies and tools been working on now since February. I couldn't say anything because of it wasn't leaked yet, but once it was leaked, I can talk about that stuff. Who else? Temu, we already know about. Shein, we already know about. AliExpress. Now, AliExpress is kind of like no one's really thinking about it much. They are redoing their front end so that they can compete with Shein and Temu and so on. TikTok Shop. Right now, everyone's talking about TikTok Shop. Get your product up there, and how can you sell on TikTok Shop and so on. So I was global business manager for Microsoft Worldwide Retail Sales and Marketing. I talked to the global business manager for TikTok Shop. And his statement, his exact words are, within 2 years, he expects to be selling $1,000 million of goods a year. Do the math, that's $1 billion. But the way he said it, because it's Chinese to English, was 1,000 million. $1 billion of goods a year. Last year, e-commerce grew by $500 million from the year before. So he's saying it's going to be 4 times that amount. And they've done the numbers. They're confident on that. They are also going to be a channel directly from factories to U.S. consumers. There are two other very big ones, which I cannot say yet, but one's already in beta, and factories are being recruited for both of them. So they're going on. It's not just talk. So that's 9 different platforms. And some of those platforms, like TikTok Shop, they have trends that are already harmful to e-commerce sellers. Someone will say, take a look at, and it's a power bank. Take a look at this power bank. It's just like the fancy expensive one, only this is a dupe and it's less expensive. And that trend on TikTok Shop is exactly the trend we don't want to have happen. You work really hard at building up your brand, and then someone says, hey, look at this. We've got Norm's brand of power bank and Steven's terrible brand of lighting. Norm's brand of power bank. We've got the same thing for 1/10 the price. That's crazy, but that's already happening on TikTok Shop. So for e-commerce sellers, you've got to look at that landscape. It's going to be other platforms that people can look at and save money and compete with you. And Amazon as well. We don't know what they're going to be doing. We don't know if there's going to be a listing. Here are all the power banks. And by the way, we also have cheap ones in our discount section. Or is there a flag next to yours that says also available? Is there going to be a complete firewall? Are they going to compete against each other? We don't know yet.
I wish Amazon would have just kept it like 2012, 13. It was so basic, wasn't it? It was so easy to rank, so easy to get sales. You put something up, you were number one, it was so easy.
When I first started on Amazon Vendor, there was a little checkbox at the top. You just clicked the checkbox, and $400 was deducted every month that they used for promotions and advertising. Who knows what they were doing? There were pages with no sponsored ads, or listings were purely organic. It's a different world.
2016, I had a lawyer throw up a sales agreement, and part of the sales agreement, we wanted to make sure that products were moving, that you had to spend $300 or more, and people were fighting back me on this, but $3,000 or $300 per month for PPC. And there was pushback. Now, $300 a day, you're not going to get much. But the other thing I want to bring to people's attention, I lived through this. I saw what happened to our family during this time. But back in the 80s, the shoe industry, huge on the East Coast. My dad was in that industry. And I can remember him talking about there's no way that these jobs are going to be going overseas to China, because there's just too many people that it would affect. Hundreds of thousands of jobs. Well, guess what? There's very few shoe companies left in North America. They're all over in China. And it will happen. It will disrupt. And we have to be prepared to make sure that we change. And I'm going to throw something at you. You've heard this probably, 1,000 times like me, that we can compete against the Chinese. You can always tell a Chinese listing because it's crappy. There's spelling mistakes. The branding sucks. But now that's changing because they're understanding. There's, speakers like you that go over there and are helping, people understand. But there's also AI. And AI is coming.
AI.
Yeah.
And to clarify, when I'm out there, I have now speaking in China, and I've had a few very prestigious opportunities to talk. My PowerPoint gets reviewed first with courteous suggestions on corrections. Then I have to do a rehearsal that's reviewed and comments and so on like that. But at the same time, for whatever reason, they let me talk straightforward. So back, beginning of the year, I had a presentation in Shenzhen to 2,000 factories, and my conversation was about how to work better with your customers. And I stood right in front of them and I told them, don't copy their photos anymore. Don't sell the same things they're doing. Offer exclusives instead. You copy their photos, they're not going to want to work with you. Customer service is fantastic, but your customer service has got to avoid the question, where do you sell? Because nobody's going to trust you again. You've got to build that trust and loyalty. And actually, I'll be at Co-Create this September, and I'll be talking about ways for factories and customers to build that trust and that loyalty stronger and better. But I want to touch on something for a second, if I may.
Sure.
This is not happening in a silo in China. It's not a whole bunch of platforms saying, hey, we're ready to jump on board. The Chinese economy is in trouble. And a lot of it was driven by the real estate issues that they have. I'm not going to go into it. Steve Simonson's got some great videos about what's going on with that. But what they've done is they've looked at manufacturing, at product manufacturing as one of their solutions. And within product manufacturing, cross-border e-commerce is one of the pillars for that economic recovery. Now, e-commerce in China is incredible. I just held up the power bank. I was in a Didi, which is like Uber, on the way back to the hotel, and I realized that I had left my power bank on a train a couple of days earlier. So ordered the power bank online from Taobao, which is an online purchasing platform here. Got to the hotel 30 minutes later, and it was sitting in a locker waiting for me. They know how to do e-commerce better than a lot of countries can do e-commerce. That's not cross-border e-commerce. Cross-border e-commerce is specifically factories selling cross-border to Western and specifically U.S. customers. And the Chinese government is encouraging this. I had a member of the Chinese government laugh and tell me Shenzhen is the new capital of cross-border e-commerce. They want factories to sell. We will talk at the end for a few minutes about the Canton Fair, but everyone who's gone to the Canton Fair will tell you factories are eager to sell. They're hungry to sell. That's to people like us who sell on Amazon, sell to retailers and so on. The Chinese government is saying, hey, there's a whole nother area of customers out there. Sell directly to Western customers. And that's why this is happening all now, because the platforms and the factories are being encouraged to do so. And when you're in China, if the government says jump, you ask, how high?
Remember when Sam Walton started, Walmart, and his main selling point? Do you remember what that was?
Low prices, good something for low prices or something like that.
And where were things made?
US,
all in the USA.
Everything was US. They still have once a year, it just passed, made in USA, big, recruitment come if you're making USA and everything else. But the reality is, stand in any Walmart, stand in any Home Depot, any Lowe's, any Bunnings. Just be a creep, stand at the end of the aisle and watch people purchase. They will pick up a product. They will look at it and say, oh, what is this? Oh, okay, what are the benefits? If it's done properly, they'll know what the benefits are. Then they'll look at the price and they'll make a decision. It goes into the basket. Nobody is picking it up and saying, where is this made? With the exception of power tools, large appliances, and
horse saddles.
Horse saddles. I would believe that. There's a third major category. With the exception of those, nobody is looking to whether it's made in China or not. I had one of my clients had a major U.S. retailer that's known for stuff being made in the USA, and they asked her, where is this made? And she was like stumbling. So I just stepped forward. I was helping her sell. I said, it's made in China. Their response was not, oh, we can't sell that. Their response was, oh, do you have an FOB program? In other words, they want to buy full containers from us and deliver them in China, which they do routinely with everyone else who's making stuff in China, in a store, a large chain that's famous for USA only products. So,
jeez. Yeah. So that whole, there was a paradigm shift back in the day where made in the USA, and depending on, like you said, some of the products, you can get a premium. But for the most part, made in China is not something to, hide, and pretend it doesn't, come up with some acronym, or something like that, for People's Republic. It's made in China. The product is high quality for the most part, depending on what you want to pay. You got good quality products. And if you're getting a crappy product, you're working with the wrong supplier, because there's damn good suppliers in China. You can't put them into one bucket. High quality, they know their business. And man, the difference between China and the United States is competition. They will not give up. If they need to drop their price, they will. If they need to change on a dime, I think they will. I've seen it. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, it's a really,
first of all, it's there's a lot of people who talk about Chinese sellers. They'll sell at a loss if they have to and stuff like that. That's not true. They will never sell at a loss. Two things to be aware of. Number one, they're dropping their prices so low that there's no way you can compete. Then take a step back and look in the mirror. It means you've been paying way too much at the very beginning. The other thing is, and I hate that I'm bringing up going to China, but if you go to China and visit your factories, a lot of people will tell you, visit your factories. You're going to immediately save 10, 15, 20% just by showing up at the factory. They really appreciate that. That's the biggest load of bullshit in the world. I don't know if I can say that or not. Hopefully I can.
You can.
Keep it out, Kelsey, if I can.
There you go.
But that's bullshit. I'll say it again, Kelsey. China is the culture, the business culture, is they're going to be more clever than you. They're going to try to be smarter than you and figure things out. They're not going to be so in awe of, wow, look at this. A white person has walked into my factory. Let's start losing money and give them 10, 15% because we're so impressed. No, it means that they have overcharged you so much that 10, 15% doesn't mean anything to them anymore. They're still making money. They're not taking food off of the table for their family or their workers. It's merely an acknowledgement that they have been overcharging you a lot. And I use that as an example, the fact that the way people are not sure. There you go. We're back again. So everything that was, taught in the Amazing Selling Machine courses way back when was focused on selling on Amazon and a little bit of dealing with Chinese business. But the mistakes in there have been passed on so many times that all of these YouTube videos and courses and everything else just repeat the mistakes. And because of that, people are leaving a heck of a lot on the table. So for both of those reasons, they're not going to lose money. They just are overcharging Amazon sellers so much that they can charge next to nothing.
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, you had mentioned the listings. You come here, Chris Davey has a great party twice a year. You'll meet a whole bunch of people who are living here in China, Westerners, and their jobs are to write listings for Chinese factories. They're smartened up. They know that they have to get better listings. Mm-hmm. No more I forget, was it the old saying about your something belongs to me? You don't get that terrible language mistakes like they have in video games and old listings anymore.
Right. And in translation, the other thing too, what I've noticed about, and we're going to get right back to the other topic, but if your factory has negotiated, and this might be a newer factory, but let's say you did get that price, that all of a sudden the factory not losing money, but they're not making money. So you're pushed from a priority to the next tier, to the next tier. And also, this is a big fear. I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but if that's the case and they're not making money, you're the first to start to see product fade.
It is because a lot of people, particularly those selling on Amazon, don't understand how to avoid quality fade.
Right.
When I was at Microsoft, there was a fellow who wrote a book called Poorly Made in China.
Oh, yeah.
So many people look at this as, wow, it's the Bible of how terrible things are. And our team at Microsoft, because we were negotiating, we learned negotiation, looked at this book saying, wow, here's some guy who's got a name for himself, proudly making every mistake they shouldn't be making. So, for example, when you send in your first payment, they're all happy. They got a payment immediately at the same time. If you don't have it before, as soon as they get that payment and they're happy with you, ask for a BOM, bill of materials. When they're happy, they're going to not worry about trying to fudge things on the bill of materials. They're going to give you what you actually have ordered. Now you hold on to that. You get a inspection every single shipment you do. And every single shipment, you make sure that that inspection company, licensed inspection company, please, has that BOM, bill of materials. They can now make sure that your, I'll use one that was used against me, a 330 thread count cotton pillowcase suddenly isn't switched to 285 thread count. They'll check that each and every time. They'll check that your 2000, whatever that is, MA, whatever the thing is, voltage power charger is still at the same. They'll make sure that your TPE is suddenly not replaced with PVC because it's in the BOM. They now have records to compare against. But the best time to ask for that, if you don't have it beforehand, is always ask for it right after you pay money. If you ask about a year in, they're thinking, hey, how can we fudge what's on here? So they're never going to notice if we change things. But when they get money, they're happy. That sales rep's going to put it up, send it out. They may not even talk to their boss about it.
So you said earlier on, I'm just going to go through some of these platforms, but Temu is already moving product from the States with some of their products. I mean, I noticed that it comes overnight or in a couple of days rather than a couple of weeks. Amazon Discount. So that's going to be set up, distributing directly from the States. Walmart. Walmart is currently recruiting factories. I remember you mentioned that just talking prior to the podcast. So how long do you think that's going to take when you start to see these big platforms start to sell direct?
Well, I think that they're all planning to start to sell direct because sending from China, the big advantage of sending to China is the de minimis policy, the Section 321. If it's under $800, you're not paying duties and taxes.
Right.
The interesting thing about that is the rule is not if it's under $800, you don't pay duties and taxes. It was made for travelers, obviously.
Yeah.
The rule is if it's under $800 and you are not an importer who imports more than $10,000 a year, then you don't pay taxes. And there's the loophole because the receivers, the people who are buying the products, they're not importers doing more than $10,000 a year. But Customs Border Protection, they know that it's no longer a concern about the importers. It's a concern about the exporters. The exporters are exporting more than $10,000 a year. That's where the loophole is. Exporters was left off. And that's an easy fix. As soon as that's fixed, then everyone is going to have to be in the U.S. So the question is, those that are already starting will just be able to set up their logistics and operations faster than those that are going to have to catch up. But it's inevitable.
Anything more you can tell us about TikTok Shop? I mean, that's the big buzzword right now.
Yeah. So Jake Wong, global business development manager, specifically said, as I said, 1,000 million within 2 years. We were sitting at lunch table, a bunch of head honchos, and I'm terrible at small talk, but I have some tricks I learned when I was at Microsoft with politicians and CEOs and stuff like that. Smiled, looked around, and said, this is great. If we are here in 2 years from now, what's different? In the United States, everyone keeps their cards close to their chest. In China, they're not used to that. They've never been asked that before. So the things I heard just, send shivers up and down your back. Shein, very specifically, they said they're going to increase the amount of products they sell, but they are not going beyond their avatar. This was good to hear. So if you're selling power tools, don't worry about Shein coming out after you there. Their avatar is female, young. So it's apparel, it's accessories, shoes, some pets, some children. That's their avatar. They're not going beyond that. Temu was not in that particular meeting, so I couldn't tell you. But TikTok Shop, they see TikTok Shop as a direct channel from factories, and they're working on that. It's a priority, top priority. I had a chance to, a year ago, November, I was at a conference, small private conference, and the CEO of TikTok was there. And he was taking a small audience. He was taking some questions. I raised my hand. I wanted to ask him, is TikTok going to get into e-commerce? At the time, they hadn't. And I did not get chosen. I could not ask my question. But obviously, they had big plans at that point because look what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have plans right now, big plans to bring products in directly from Chinese factories.
So what are your thoughts on TikTok Shop?
I'm
just talking in general.
In general, I think they've been able to accomplish what Amazon's not. Amazon is a platform where people shop what they are looking for. TikTok is a platform where they're joining in on the social experience of shopping. That's something they broke through that fourth wall. Amazon's never been able to do that. When people see their friends, who they feel the TikTok content creators are their friends, that their friends buy something, they buy it as well. This TikTok made me buy it phenomena. So I think that TikTok, unlike everything else, has a great. They are what is the Amazon killer. Now, as far as a platform for regular people to sell, if your influencer is going to sell your stuff and get their cut of it and everything else, wonderful and great. But if there's someone else coming along offering a bigger cut and lower prices, they're going to go with them because they've got to sell. And when customers are looking for low price, they're going to look for low price.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about how you can prepare. But before we do that, we got a great Wheel of Kelsey giveaway today. And Stephen, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to do?
Okay, so we can get this light working. There we go. Yeah, we're doing a coaching session, which is, I'm an expensive man, so it's over. I think it's $450 a coaching session now. You get it free. Let me help you go from where you are and get the next steps and make things happen.
And Stephen's done this for hundreds, if not thousands of people. So
I thought you were going to say years.
Combined, you and me. There we go. But if you want to enter the draw today for the Wheel of Kelsey, it's easy. It's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people. You'll grab, or you'll get another entry. And it's a session with Stephen. It's worth approximately $450. I would have said a lot higher. He's a pretty brilliant guy. So to spend some time with him, to take a look at and work on your business, it's awesome. So priceless today. So we'll give you a few minutes to register. But while we're doing that, I'm just going to do a quick read. Let me see. Our second shout out today is about my good pal, Afalabi Orocon, Honu Worldwide. Honu Worldwide is having their grand opening. It's happened. You're probably, by the time you see this, it just happened. But I say we are accepting customers. I want to be 100% transparent. I'm a co-owner in Honu Worldwide. The warehouse is located in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, which means it's just 90 minutes from New York, New Jersey Oceanport. It's perfect for sellers needing quick access to major shipping lanes. And the warehouse, we've expanded it from 1,200 pallets to over 10,000 pallets in storage. Plus, we're doing kitting, returns. So if you're looking for somebody to handle your Amazon returns, we're doing co-packing, and of course, pretty much any type of fulfillment you need. So don't miss out. Secure your space. Email Honu Worldwide today, and that's at savings. I'm not going to torture you by having to spell the word Afalabi. I've tried. I still spell it wrong. So savings, SAVINGS at Honu, HONU, worldwide.com. And just let Afalabi know the Beard Guy sent you. Okay, so now we are back. Did you know that we had the new grand opening?
I did not know you had a new grand opening, but I will tell you that Afalabi, who's very, very smart, has been talking about what we're talking about now since 2019. He has seen it coming.
Yeah.
But I think just like you and lots of other people, nobody expected it to happen so fast. Now it's got the Chinese government encouraging it behind. So that's why it's happening so quickly.
Now let's talk about being proactive. What are some things that people can do to make sure that this is not the end of them?
So let's go through 6, do the Chinese thing. Let's go through 6.
That's a shaka.
It's also 6 in China.
Yeah, okay.
I learned that by playing Mahjong.
Okay.
So this is 8. So number 1, marketing. People are still going to be coming to Amazon. Amazon's market share is going to decrease. We know that because there's going to be others, chasing their heels. But a lot of people will still be coming at Amazon first. They're going to be the big gorilla. So you've got to make sure that your marketing is spot on, that your PPC is getting your product in front of the people that need to see you. That's got to be sharp like a scalpel. And then once they see you, your photographs, your enhanced brand content, your listing, your copy, everything has to make the sale. You're going to get one bite of the apple. You want them to say, yes, I need this, I want this, I want to purchase, because if they don't, they're not just going to be looking at your competitors, they're going to be going off of Amazon and looking at platforms where there are only Chinese factories. You don't want that to happen. So get your marketing the best you can. And frankly, you and I both know there are great people out there, including Norm, who will help you with branding and marketing. It's so, so important. So that's number 1. Number 2, protect your IP. Now, there's a lot of myths and stories about patents and so on. It's difficult to patent a product that you have found through Liam 10, Jungle Scout, Zone Guru, and so on, because it's finding a successful product and say, now do something similar. You really have to make it non-obvious and novel to get that patent. But there are other ways to protect yourself. Make sure that you've got a trademark. And frankly, I know it was trending for a while for people to get a trademark under Class 35. That's not going to stand for a while. Make sure you're patented in your class, trademarked in your class, done correctly. Make sure that you're using e-recordation for when your products come into the United States and when it leaves China, so that if there are people with copying your product, you can stop it. Talk to good attorneys.
So, sorry, go back to that. What is that?
So you have Norm's Toys, and there's your power bank, and it has Norm's Toys on it as a trademark, and it gets shipped out from China. A lot of people, Yale is China, and from Israel is great about this. She tells, make sure you have a Chinese patent, because a Chinese trademark, I'm sorry, it's 3:00 in the morning here. Make sure you have a Chinese trademark, because if you don't, someone else can file that trademark and then keep your container from leaving or your products from leaving, and they'll ask for money and so on. But it works the other way around. You should record your trademark with Chinese customs. because now if somebody else tries to sell your stuff, they will be prevented from leaving. And just in case there's a red packet given to someone and it gets out of the harbor, you do the same thing with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. It's called e-recordation. You record it. Costs $190 for 10 years. That's $19 a year you'll ever spend. So there's all sorts of strategies. Everyone should know about them. So I just pulled two of them out of the air there. But make sure you protect your IP without knowing that patents are very, very difficult to get and expensive. So next, I've been talking about it for years. Sell to physical stores, particularly these days. It's easier than Amazon. It's more profitable than Amazon. There are certain things you're going to have to follow. They don't want a product that's going to cannibalize something already on the shelves. So you are going to have to differentiate, and that's super, super important. But at the moment, Chinese factories only can sell cross-border e-commerce. It's very difficult for them to get into retailers, and they're very, very frightened of the payment systems for retailers. So that's a place that you can stand alone. And there's still almost 9 out of 10, almost 85% is still bought in stores. So definitely pursue that. I just mentioned differentiation. That needs to be in capital letters. Differentiate, differentiate, differentiate. When you differentiate, make sure that you have an exclusivity agreement with your factory, because you don't want to differentiate and then find that your differentiated product is being sold on TikTok or Temu or wherever. So you need to differentiate, and you need to protect that. That's critical. Next, I love this. Paul Barron said it, and it's so pure and so perfect. Listen to your customers. That's an advantage you have that Chinese factories don't. Even if they are able to get everyone's email addresses someplace, they're not living the same life as their customers. You understand your customers. You can empathize with your customers. Listen to your customers and leverage that. Make changes and modifications that your customers need and want. Again, that's an advantage you have. Chinese factories don't. As I said before, go to the Canton Fair. Go to the Canton Fair, because typically in the past, you would go to the Canton Fair and you would see new products that factories are coming out with. You will still see that. But you also want to make sure that we have certain tools, which I'm not going to share right now, but we have certain tools to make sure they're not going to be selling those to other people at the fair, as well as on these other platforms and so on. But go to the fair. The Chinese government is trying very hard to get Westerners to the fair. The factories and suppliers there are so hungry for money, they're dropping their prices. Just in the last 6-8 months, China's opened up a lot of visa-free travel programs. That's incredible. You go on the trains. You don't need train tickets anymore. Everything's set up to use your passport. You don't Alipay. Every place, all over the airports and train stations, Alipay. This is the way for you to be able to pay in China. Ant has opened up the use of Western credit cards and debit cards to set up Alipay. They want Western dollars. So who knows how long this will continue, but strike while the iron's hot. Get out there and find good products. Now, we'll talk at the end about my program, but I'll tell you, Leiden and Athena, Dan have a program, China Magic. That's great. Jamie Lane, who took over Reliable Education, she's got a bunch of people going. Go with a group. I say in my email, go with me because I do have those tools, but frankly, go with a group. I'm no longer saying going alone, because you want to make sure you're not going to buy product, put all of your money into it, and then find that product's being sold on a competitive platform and you're going to lose money. But do go. This is the time. They are hungry for Western dollars. So right there, those are 6 ways that you can turn around and compete on this. And you should be competing. This is a great time. I have a friend whose uncle bought up a whole lot of real estate in LA after the riots and became, quite rich because of that. Don't run away when times are tough. Dive in, make it happen, and be smart about it.
Did I miss anything? I mean, we've talked about a lot of different things, but is there anything that I missed that we should be discussing?
Oh gosh, there is a lot happening. Give me a second. We talked a little bit about what Amazon's doing. We talked about the Chinese government behind this and cross-border e-commerce. I think the number one, there's a couple big ones I set out there. Just be aware that you have not seen the worst yet. There are some behemoths that are about to hit. That's really, really big. Do not depend on the de minimis rule, being that you can ship in for under $800 as going to save you. And because that's not going to save you, that also means saying, oh, people are going to want something in 2 days. It's going to happen. They're going to get the direct from factory stuff in 2 days as well. The only really big thing, Norm, is don't do nothing. Don't sit there. Be aware. Change your strategy. Don't be doing white label commodity products, because white label commodity products, that's the heart of selling something that somebody already wants. Differentiate. Make sure your products differentiate intelligently. Think profits at all time. It's going to be harder as a side gig, but there's so much great opportunity. As Amazon is just a platform to sell products to customers. That's what it is. Think about the product. Think about the customers. Don't focus purely on the platform. You're going to do great.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today. Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, right now I'm splitting. Right now I'm in China. Just came from a factory, literally brought the price down 30% today, with a product that is probably going to be the number one talked about Christmas product this year.
Is that a Lunch with Norm bobblehead?
It'll be the second.
All right. Okay.
Working on some toys that are incredible. I'm very, very lucky. I love my students. We've got incredible stuff going on. So that's what's happening with me at the exact moment. I run 2 different programs, the Product Development Incubator, where we help you wherever you are, get to wherever you want to be. And it's a monthly subscription. You pay every month for as long as you need it. And we can bring you, I'm heading in the morning, I'm heading down to Australia to help with selling. I just came back from Atlanta helping with selling and trade shows, helping with selling for a week to factories and manufacturing, and then back to selling again. So I'm old. I've got a lot of experience. We help you get from where you are, where you want to be. That's the productdevelopmentincubator.com. And then there's the Product Development China Trip, which is way too long to write into a search bar. So just write CantonFair2024.com. That will bring you there. And for that, we do a trip during the Canton Fair, just like the incubator. It's small, a lot of personal information, some great coaches and mentors. And we show you how to go through the Canton Fair, how to deal with Chinese factories, how not to be one of these people that say, oh, I walked into my factory and saved 10, 15, 20%. I was at a group meeting with Paul Barron, and someone was talking about their win. I brought the price down from here to there. And he's like this, trying not to laugh, because that person was so overpaying. Don't overpay. We teach you how to do that. We teach you how to get samples without paying. We teach you how to get payment terms. All of these are super important. And it's not just the big things. There's the little things we will walk you through, like asking for the BOM after you make your payment. It helps ensure that the BOM is going to be accurate and not fudging on it. And then using that to make sure that you make sure there's no quality issues. We take you to the port not just to visit it, but to learn about the scams that people are running. This is the one that everyone, or I should say, every woman really loves. We teach you why and how you can get better prices in China as a female and negotiate better as a female in China than a male. So we cover all sorts of things. I love doing this. I was burning out on going to the Canton Fair after many, many years, and started doing this and saw how it changed people's lives. And now it's like I look forward to it. It's so great.
And I don't know if people know this too. You're not just another pretty face, and you're a Wharton grad as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Those are smart guys. That's not, you know, I could only, well, I guess I could graduate, but it would be more from the Wharton janitorial school, maybe.
Yeah, I went to good universities. I was global business manager for Microsoft Worldwide Retail Sales and Marketing. So I was making decisions at the $7.35 billion level at the same time my own companies, and making decisions at do we eat ramen today or not level. So I've just been very, very fortunate. I learned about selling to retailers. One of the first people who took me under his wing was Mike Kittredge, who sold candles. He started selling candles in college. And he told me all about selling to independent and specialty retailers, because his little candle company, Yankee Candle Company, became huge, and he sold it for billions. I've been very, very lucky to have great people teach me about big box stores. I've been lucky to have factory owners here in China sit down and tell me the truth about what they look for. I was just at Titan's Group down in Australia last month, and I brought along someone who's actually a sales rep at a Chinese factory, who could share with people the stories of the lies they're told to tell when they are a trading company and not a factory. So as much as I'm talking here, I've been smart enough sometimes to shut up and listen. And I've been very, very fortunate to learn from a lot of smart people.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I know this was very short notice. Like, I'm talking about less than 24 hours notice. But I saw the post. I wanted to get you on here. I wanted to talk about it. And I wanted to let Amazon sellers know that it's not over. It just requires better planning, and you better be proactive or you're going to get kicked in the butt. So, Stephen, thanks for coming on. I'm going to remove you, put you backstage, and then just going to talk to you for a sec. Okay, where is the boy Blunder? Hey.
Hello.
The mayor of Blunderville.
Well, you might be the mayor. Are you forgetting something?
Did I forget something?
Is there something that we should be doing?
Oh, maybe I should be doing a sponsorship thing and then Wheel of Kelsey. So I know that. So here we go. Their Wheel of Kelsey prize today is a coaching call with Stephen. If you have listened to him over the last hour, you want that call. He's a smart guy. He's not just another pretty face. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you get a second entry. But before we go over there, now this is your last chance to do that. But before you go over there, just want to give a shout out to my buddy, Colin Campbell. He wrote Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. And this book is awesome. Anybody at any stage of your entrepreneurial journey can get a lot of great advice. In fact, it's a reference guide. Not really. He hates when I say that, but it is a reference guide. When you go in there, it's broken into 4 different sections, and then it's broken into multiple sections to help you through start, going through scale, exit, and then your repeat. And I mentioned last week, the big news is he's got a workbook, a really cool workbook that he's now selling on Amazon for each one of these modules. So it helps you go through methodically. When you get this at the end of it, you will have a very concise roadmap, not only to your entrepreneurial journey, but to anything that you want to launch. All right, that's Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat by Colin C. Campbell. It's available on Amazon and Audible, and you can also get the Start workbook, and then each one of those other 3 will come out later. All right, now let's go to the wheel.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Congratulations.
All right. Whoever the winner is, we'll be getting in touch with you This is a pre-recorded episode, so of course we'll anyone who entered in the comments today, we're going to add you in a wheel and we'll spin it and let you know who the winner is. So congratulations to whoever that is out there.
Now remember, Kels, last time because we couldn't get on live, we did it later and then announced the winner. That's
right. So get those Wheel of Kelsey's in the comment sections, and we'll pick the winner from today's episode.
All right. So now that you've told me that I did something wrong and I'm getting old, hiding my own Easter eggs, now I can say, Steven, you did awesome. Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcast, click over here. Lunch with